Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, race number 7 at Pimlico kicks off a $300,000 guaranteed 50-cent pick 5. It is the 6 furlong Skipat Stakes. $100,000 is the purse for fillies and mares. Get involved in this guaranteed wager with a DRF Bets account. When you deposit $100, you bet with $250. Learn all you need to know at bets.drf.com. Here's the field for the Skipat Stakes. Familiar face as the 6-5 morning line favorite. Matt, lots of folks are going to be singling Shalone in this guaranteed pick 5, despite the fact we have not seen her since the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint.
Yeah, she's been gone for a little while here, but boy, when you look at this race on paper, if she runs, let's call it her B race, I think she's just simply better than everyone else. That Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint at a distance that's too far for her. She's just not a 7/8 kind of filly. You get her back to 3/4 of a mile, and the way that she ran in that Breeders' Cup, say what you will, she ran a giant race. I thought she made the move into the teeth of the pace, and that race was basically dominated by horses coming from off the pace. So, she ran really well that day. I don't think she wants that distance. You get her back here. Really, the question is she ready to go off the bench?
Let's give Lale Stables a lot of credit. They bought this filly for $550,000 at the November 2017 sale, and they almost turned her into a Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare winner. You're right about the Filly and Mare Sprint. She made the move into the teeth of the pace. I thought Javier did everything right. Outside, inside, outside. She had the lead. 7 furlongs a little bit too far. Did I mention the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprints already produced 4 next out winners? Marley's Freedom has run 4 times. 2 firsts, 2 seconds, buyers ranging from 95 to 102, all in graded stakes company. Arnaud de la Cour usually gets these horses ready to rumble, and she might have an advantageous pace scenario, as we see from the Timeform US pace projector. Blue bar favoring horses on or near the early lead. And there's Shalone. If she breaks well, Javier will likely have her out there close to the pace. The 2 is Everlasting Secret, who is also expected to be close to the pace. And Everlasting Secret was in a little tough last time out in the Willa on the Move stakes. She caught Late Night Powwow, who came back to win the What a Summer with an 84, the Grade 3 Barbara Fritchie with a 93, and then ran 3rd in the Grade 1 Madison. Everlasting Secret was overmatched.
Yeah, and even the runner-up, Ms. Locust Point, we know what she's capable of on her best day as well. I think the other thing that you want to factor in with Everlasting Secret, that race was over a muddy sealed track. Her 2 races on off tracks are complete disasters. Get her back to a fast main track, she's got a big chance. But the problem is, looks like there's some more wet weather in the forecast for Friday.
A horse that wouldn't mind a wet track's the number 8, Majestic One, who is projected to be close to this expected moderate to slow pace. Majestic One won over a muddy track 2 starts back by open lengths after pressing the pace, and then might have just found the class and the Priminetta a little bit too tough. I mean, she was in against the aforementioned Miss Locust Point. It was interesting that they added front wraps for her that day, and she was eased. But Jeremiah Engelhardt usually knows where to place his horses, and he keeps the faith despite that poor running line.
Yeah, we'll see what we get here second off the bench. But boy, I look at it and say, if Ms. Locust Point was a little bit too much to handle, you got to assume Shalon is going to be too much to handle in a spot like this if she comes back firing. Estilo
Femenino, one of several horses that just really improved for Steve Asmussen during the Oaklawn meet. I liked the way this filly won her most recent start. Beat a couple of minor next out winners, did so by sitting just off the pace, relaxing comfortably, and firing on home. Here's a formulator fact for Asmussen. Over the past year with 3-year-olds and up, last out winning dirt sprinters going 3rd off the layoff, 33% winners, a 329 ROI. Now, Timeform US has her a little far back, and she's going to have to really be on her toes to beat Shalone if Shalone comes back with her A game, but she is in the sharpest form she's ever been in.
Yeah, I like her. I think she's a likable filly. I agree with you from a pace standpoint. She's probably up against it, especially when you give the horse to beat a pretty serious head start. My big thing with the Estilo Femenino, go through her PPs, draw a line through those 2 Aqueduct races. She's done nothing wrong. I wonder if she just hated Aqueduct. Basically everywhere else that she's gone, she's run well. I see no reason why Pimlico should be any different.
Maybe Wicked, the number 7, I think might have a say in this outcome. Timeform US really liked her last race from a figure standpoint. Buyer boys, not so much. Only gave her an 83, but she's a rather tactical filly going out for a great trainer in Brad Cox. And last time out, she finished ahead of a horse that came back to run 3rd at Belmont with a 77 buyer speed figure. And I think that was an older filly as well.
And there was also another horse in that race that came back and earned an 85. So we're looking at a pretty solid situation here. And really, she is, again, it's one of those interesting things, happens often in different kind of races, but comparing speed figures, one may be a little bit kinder than another. If you, depending on which side of the aisle you land on, if you believe the time form rating, that's the highest last out raw number in the field with the 112. That would make her a major player.
Number 6 is Anna's Bandit. I'm a big fan of Anna's Bandit. How can you not be? She's a West Virginia bred that's won 10 times from 24 starts, 404,000, and she's won 3 in a row leading up to this race. Her last 2 against West Virginia bred company. Anna's Bandit has good tactical speed. The question is she really good enough? They're hoping to get the nice open stakes placing.
I was going to say, you know what? I don't blame the connections at all for taking a shot here. I don't know that I'm convinced that she can run with the big girls in a spot like this. But boy, you want to talk about just doing a little bit of everything, winning 2 turns 7/8 at Charlestown, winning a 1 turn 7/8 at Laurel 2 starts back. She's just a really nice, classy horse. I just am not totally convinced that she's quite this level.
Stakes winner Haley's Flip was dangled for the $50,000 claiming tag in an optional race last time out on April the 19th. She came out of it with flying colors, rallying from off the pace to produce an 81 Beyer speed figure. Probably not good enough to win if she reproduces that effort. Didn't like the field she beat in that off the turf race.
No, hard to argue with the fact that it looks like she beat a little bit of an inferior group. She's another one that would appreciate a wet track. She's probably going to be coming from way out of it. She'd appreciate a hot pace signed on.
Phantom Shot's a little bit of a reach. She's only won 3 of 33, but she does have 7 seconds and 7 thirds, and she does have a positive formulator fact for low-profile connections. Don Barr over the past 5 years, older dirt sprinters, 2 to 4 month layoffs, 25% winners, 373 ROI. The runner-up from that last race came back to run third with the 73 Beyer, then won at Parks with a 74. Listen, she's got to improve by leaps and bounds, and the pace scenario doesn't exactly work in her favor, but if somehow the pace does heat up, maybe she gets a minor slice.
Yeah, she's been stuck at the N2X level for the better part of a year now, but like you say, 14 times a minor award winner, there's no reason not to consider using her underneath coming from the back.
Adios Annie came off a little bit of a layoff last time out at Delaware. Wonder if she was just short, prepping for a race like this, but she's already been beaten by Haley's Flip. She's already been beaten by Anna's Bandit. I've liked some of the things that she's done in her career, Adios Annie. It's just that she's a little bit slow on paper.
Yeah, the other big concern, 9 times in the money from 10 lifetime starts. The only time she wasn't was over a sloppy sealed track. If the weather does show up on Friday, that perhaps hurts her cause.
Last True Love tired last time out in that Prima Netta Stakes. She did finish ahead of Majestic One that day, who was basically eased. Her prior 2 races against weaker company at Charlestown, Penn National, they produced victories. But again, we're looking at a filly that has done some nice things in the past. Yes, she is stakes placed, but she hasn't really gotten that much better this year.
No, she hasn't really improved. I will say the interesting thing with her running style, breaking from the far outside, there's no reason to believe that she won't be maybe a little bit closer than I think initially I had anticipated, because, again, there's not a ton of speed signed on. She can be a little bit more forward. And, again, depending on which side you fall on, the time form rating from that run at Penn National 3 back, 114, that's a giant number that would put her right there. Granted, that's a bit of an outlier for her overall body of work.
Pick time for the Skipat Stakes, race number 7, kicking off a $300,000 guaranteed 50-cent pick 5. Shalone just looks like the class of the field, looks like the fastest horse in the field, and looks like the main speed in a race lacking much pace. She's very logical on paper.
She's going to be a heavy favorite. I don't really have much interest in trying to beat her. If I was going to use anybody else underneath, though, it would certainly be the 9 Estilo Femenino.
I'm with you. I'm going 3-9-7-6 in the $100,000 Skipat Stakes, a race you can play with a DRF Bets account. Deposit $100, bet with $250. Learn more at bets.drf.com. Approximate post time for the Skipat, kicking off that $300,000 guaranteed 50-cent pick 5, 2:39 Eastern. Good luck.